Vegetarianism, a Dvar Torah for Parashat Noach. When did humans start eating meat? Although some disagree, Sefer Bereshit seems to say that humans get permission to eat meat after the flood. Every creeping thing that lives shall be for you to eat, as herbs I have given you all. Who was the first idealistic vegetarian? This is a slightly more difficult question to answer, a question that we will devote this week's article to try. In the first story of creation in Bereshit Perek Aleph, the Torah tells us that at the time of his creation man eats fruit and vegetables. Behold, I have given you every herb which yields seeds that is in the face of the earth, and every tree which has fruit and yields seed, these will be used for eating, just like the animals. The commandment or permission to eat from the tree of the garden and not to eat from the tree of knowledge leads to confusion in Perek Gimel and to the curse, by the sweat of your brow you shall eat bread. And, as we said, only in Perek Tet is eating animals permitted. The first question we need to deal with is, what has changed? Why now? According to Ibn Ezra, the permission comes after Noach builds an altar and sacrifices Olot. It's not really clear to me why, according to Ibn Ezra, Noach's sacrifice permits eating meat while Hevel's sacrifice 5 chapters earlier does not. I can only suggest that Ibn Ezra's emphasis that Noach's sacrifices were Olot, a sacrifice that's completely burnt on the altar, compared to Hevel's sacrifice, which is defined as a Minchah offering, despite being brought from the firstborn of his goats, is what makes the difference. Perhaps dedicating the entire sacrifice to Hashem is what makes the difference. Rabbi Yosef Bechor Shor suggests that what changed is humanity's responsibility towards creation. Until now, man has no real advantage over animals. Both were created. After the flood, all animals owe their lives to Noach and his ark. If he had not built the ark, put them in, fed them during the flood, all the land animals would have been wiped off the face of the earth. Therefore, from this point on, Noach and his descendants will be able to eat the animals he saved. I have 2 difficulties with this explanation. First, if men can eat animals thanks to their actions during the flood, why permit eating fish? After all, the Torah emphasizes several times that the dead of the flood were only the terrestrial animals. Secondly, I don't remember a halachic ruling that allows parents to eat their children despite being the ones to bring them into the world and take care of them and feed them for the first years of their lives. My second question might be the reason that Radak adds that from the outstart, animals were created for human needs. It's only killing them for this purpose that becomes allowed to Noach and his descendants due to the trouble they went through to save them. This addition explains the difference between eating a person who was not created to fulfill the needs of another person and eating animals, but does not solve the difficulty regarding eating the fish. According to Abarbanel, animals were permitted as food so that man wouldn't starve while waiting for food to grow after everything was destroyed in the flood. This answer fits the story, but if that's the reason, why wasn't the ban reinstated immediately after agriculture resuscitated itself? Rashar Hirsch solves the problem by changing creation, a cool superpower, and claims that the flood shortened the lives of humans and changed the climate in such a way that man would not be able to live without eating meat. Therefore, what could work for mankind before the flood was no longer relevant to Bnei Noach. The beauty of this answer, and at the same time its disadvantage, is the inability to prove or disprove it. This leads us to Rav Kook's answer, who claims that what led man's sin before the flood was that he had no way to legitimately express cruelty. Eating meat in a controlled manner was intended to allow him, on the one hand, to give vent to his animalistic urges without degenerating into filling the world with cruelty. We have then 4 main reasons for the permissibility of eating meat after the flood: the sacrifice of Olot, man's changed status, a physical need, and a mental need. The problem is that according to the verses, Noach does not seem to agree with the permission. In Psukim Aleph ad Zayin, Hashem makes a covenant with Noach and his sons, teaches Noach about the new possibility of eating meat, and blesses and commands him to have children, but Noach does not respond. In Psukim Chet and Yud Aleph, Hashem strengthens the covenant with Noach and his sons and adds to the covenant the birds, the cattle, and all the animals of the earth as dependents of Noach and his family. Noach continues to be silent. In Psukim Yud Bet until Tet Zayin, Hashem turns the covenant into a 3-fold covenant between me and you and every living soul that is with you forever. The animal world is no longer an afterthought in the alliance, but an equal side. Still, nada. Only after Pasuk Yud Zayin, when Hashem tells Noach that the covenant is between God and every living soul of all flesh that is on the earth, does Noach, as the representative of everything that lives before the God of the world, not only the representatives of humanity, agree to the conditions. Noach's sons spread and begin to settle the world. Their father Noach, on the other hand, does not start raising cows to open the first McDonald's branch. He plants a vineyard. Noach is the man of the earth. This doesn't mean that Noach was married to the earth, mainly because Ramban emphasizes that he was not, but between Noach and the earth a bond was formed. He is not ready to accept that those animals he saved, who, like man, were created from the earth, should now be eaten by his hand. Noach is the first idealistic vegetarian. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, or just buy my book, Sheoheb Tanakh. There's a link to it in the comments below. I, as opposed to Noach, am not a vegetarian for idealistic reasons. I'm a vegetarian for reasons of taste. Dovi Holtz, one who loves Tanakh.